Hello fellow Endeavourists, and welcome to the third and final video on my recommendations of what to watch in the Morse Universe while in self-isolation. We have had my recommendations on the original Morse and the sequel Lewis. Now we move on to the prequel, the Endeavour series. Let's start at the beginning, as it were, with my first recommendation being the pilot episode. The Endeavour series is set in the 1960s and is recently in the latest series moved into the 1970s. We find the young Morse and many other officers being seconded to Oxford to help do some donkey work, as it were, in the disappearance and possible murder of a young girl. Now, if there is one thing about this episode that makes it so good, it is the references, musically, visually and verbally, to the original Morse series. One scene that had me on the verge of tears, who am I kidding, I was over that verge and crying like a baby, is when Endeavour is talking to Dorothea Frazell, who is played by John Thaw's real-life daughter, Abigail Thaw.
What did you say your name was?
Morse. Why?
Have we met?
I don't think so.
Another life, then?
That is a great scene. This cinematography, the costumes and the sepia-tinged look to the film helped to evoke and bring the 1960s to life. Sean Evans and Roger Allam, who plays Fred Thursday, work well together, and whoever thought of these two as the lead roles for the series should be given a knighthood.
Begging your pardon, sir, but I've never heard so much codswallop.
Does seem a bit fanciful, Fred. Far-fetched, even.
Whoa, guys, it's just an opinion, and you're entitled to yours. But I think I'm right, and I know at least one person who agrees with me. Right, Fred?
Extraordinary, isn't it?
This episode works in the same way as the original Morse. No gunfights, no big dramatic endings, no convoluted plot lines. But what puts the proverbial icing on the cake is the ending to the episode. I won't spoil that for those who haven't watched the episode, but it is wonderful and it is very emotional. My next recommendation is the episode Home, Series 1, Episode 4. The episode's primary plot is a possible gangster association with the building of a new housing estate and an Oxford College's possible involvement with said gangsters. However, the most interesting part of the episode is the subplot involving Endeavour and his family, and in particular his dying father. We meet his formidable mother-in-law Gwen, who never liked Morse, and his stepsister Joyce.
Joyce said she'd telephoned.
Hello, Gwen.
I suppose you'd better come in. Your old room's full of lumber.
I'll be all right on the couch.
I've aired the bed in the spare. I won't if it said we couldn't put you up.
Oh, stranger.
All right, Josie.
This is, of course, not the first time we have met his stepmother and sister. We also met them, when older, in the Morse episode Cherubim and Seraphim. But this is the first time we've seen his father. The casting team have been very clever, and they have used an actor who looks a lot like John Thaw. This episode does, I believe, include one of the best scenes of the whole series. Not just Series 1, but the whole complete series of Endeavour. It involves Endeavour sitting at his father's bedside when he's dying. I wrote and created a video about that particular scene titled Anatomy of a Scene. I will include this on my website post and post a link in the information box below the video on YouTube. Up next we have the episode Game, Series 4, Episode 1, and what an excellent opener for the new series it is. After a few very disappointing episodes in Series 3, this is a great leap forward in style, writing and direction. Russell Lewis, who wrote all the episodes for Endeavour, has done all Morse fans proud, I can't imagine anyone being disappointed with this episode. The episode is beautiful in its rich, dark tones, not just in the story, but in its lighting and cinematography. The scares within the episode are real and visceral and never cheap. But thankfully, we've got Dr. Max de Bryn to lighten the mood.
Morning.
Keep upwind if I were you. 4 weeks in the drink makes for a very slippery customer. This one's as ripe and runny as a rancid Roquefort.
The subplot for this episode is Joan Thursday has left home and left no forwarding address. Roger Allam as Fred Thursday and Caroline O'Neill as Wynne Thursday are excellent in the episode and certainly are able to portray two parents trying to cope with a missing daughter and what feels like an empty house.
It's all right for you. You've got work to go to. I'm just here. Mornings are all right. I've got enough to keep me busy, but after lunch...
As I said, a great start to the 4th series, but there would be another very good episode in Series 4 as well. The episode is called Lazaretto. It's an episode where Endeavour and us, the viewer, are put through the emotional ringer. Not only does poor Morse have to contend with multiple murders at a hospital, but he bumps into Caroline Bryce Morgan, who would have been or could have been his mother-in-law, as she's a mother to the love of Morse's life, Susan. She is played exquisitely by Phoebe Nichols.
Is William still at home?
No. He's visiting Susan. And Henry, of course.
Of course.
Henry's at New Carthage now. Head of the law faculty. The youngest they've ever had.
Yes, I read something about that.
He's done very well for himself. And you, Morse? What have you accomplished?
I really liked the introduction of Mrs. Bryce Morgan into the episode. It gives us more information about Endeavour's backstory, and you do get the impression from this episode that she would never have allowed Susan to marry Endeavour. I do like the scenes between Endeavour and Mrs. Bryce Morgan, and Sean's acting is so good because we watch him as he visibly shrinks as each verbal blow rains down on him from Mrs. Bryce Morgan, and his poor psyche can barely deal with it. Not only does Endeavour have to cope with Susan's mother, but he also has to deal with Monica Hicks, the girlfriend who he did not treat very well at all, and she lets him know that. And then he has to deal with meeting Joan Thursday. That doesn't go as well as he had hoped. It's a great episode and certainly worth watching. So to the 5th and final recommendation from the Endeavour series. Series 6, Episode 1, Pile-On. The star of this episode, with an outstanding performance worthy of any award, is Endeavour's moustache. It bristles with anticipation at the thought of how long it will remain on its owner's lip. There must have been some hairy moments as it glanced at the razor blade in Endeavour's bathroom. but seriously, it is one of the best episodes from the last 2 series. We are introduced to Ronnie Box, played by Simon Harrison. His portrayal as the villain of the piece is very good. Harrison finds just the right level of how to play the villain without playing it in an over-the-top, cartoony style that we so often see in today's television shows.
You want to brace him now or when the dew's still on him?
Let him sweat it a minute. Haven't had me tea yet. See your report here first thing.
I can do it now if I could take a lend of a typewriter.
The pool's gone out.
I kept my old machine. It's all right, isn't it?
As long as he keeps his beak out of anything else.
All in all, it's a very good episode. In this episode, there is one scene I think is outstanding, and you can see part of it playing in the background at the moment. I won't go into it here, but what I have done, I did a video review of the episode Pylon. I will put that on my website alongside this video, or I'll put the link in the information box below the video on YouTube. So, that's us. We've came to the end of the trilogy. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's gave you some ideas on what to watch during this strange time, to say the least. But anyway, again, thank you for watching, and take care and take comfort in the Morse Universe. Thank you.